No, it's okay. For today's workout, I'm doing a sled-based circuit thing. Um, Want to do stuff that includes some floor movements. I'll show you what I mean by that in the first circuit. So, the first floor sled movement is crawling pull-throughs. So, starting on the floor, and one hand is holding on to the sled. I'm gonna crawl forward till when the TRX is in a pullable position, and then pull again. Crawl forward, pull again. The crawling part of things activates the legs and forces you to use your shoulders as well to stay on the floor. The pulling motion uses a combination of arm strength, leg strength, and shoulder strength. Traps. So you're hitting a lot of muscles with one movement in this exercise. And then a regular sled push back. For the other movement in the circuit, doing yep, doing deficit sumo deadlifts on with a heavy dumbbell. This is a 120-pound dumbbell. Gonna go for at least 6. So yeah, that's the first circuit. Crawling pull-throughs to sumo deadlifts.
So the audio got cut out from here on out at the gym, and so I'm just going to kind of give commentary over these exercises. So this is the I think third or fourth set of the same circuit. Kept going heavier. Just a 35-pound plate on the sled was feeling quite nice, and I was feeling strong, so I decided on adding more weight on. It's been a while since I've done this exercise. I think the last time this exercise probably appears, at least on my channel, is around episode 30 or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but somewhere there. So that means I haven't done this in about 2 months or so. And prior to that, prior to this workout, the most I'd ever done on that exercise was 25-pound plate on the sled. But now I was able to do 3 plates, and then I was able to go even heavier, and I've recorded that as well. Anyway, the benefits of the crawling exercise or working out like this in general is, well, for one, you get a lot of resistance work in. So if you notice, let me finish a couple of points. So a lot of heavy weights, you're able to expose your body to a lot of heavy weights, but in a way that's, I guess, safer than most exercises, I would say. Although the exercise looks complicated and is super difficult. Um, so, for example, like right now, in that motion that I'm performing, to bring the sled closer to me, I have to use a lot of like shoulder strength as well. But um, like the only consequence of me not being able to pull the weight is that the weight doesn't move, and uh, there is no like pressure on my body to where if I'm miss the lift or I'm unable to pull it, it injures me. Uh, but now I'm able to introduce my shoulders to a super heavy stimulus. So in this case, like most people upright row with like 50-pound dumbbells at the heaviest. Here I'm able to give my shoulders an experience where it has to at least handle 225 pounds, and that's one arm at a time. The growth response that I'm going to get from that is going to be much greater than just regular upright rows, at least in my opinion, and that's what seems to be the case over the past couple of years. Is ever since I've worked out in ways that involve compound movements and the ability to handle heavy weights safely at the same time, I've been able to get the most growth response out of the movement, or at least I've seen the most growth out of my body from doing stuff like that. So the first sled circuit was a movement on the floor but going forward. This next sled circuit involves a movement on the floor but going backward. So I'm crawling backward and then pulling the sled towards me. So in the first circuit where I was doing the crawl forward and the pull through, there is much more of a like leg drive, and I'm able to leg drive into the shoulders. Here, since I'm crawling backwards, there is not a whole lot of force I can generate from my legs to divert into my hands because it's going in the opposite direction. Instead, so I'm crawling back and almost doing a single hand lat pull down. Um, this was my first time ever performing the exercise. Um, I thought it was kind of cool, thought it was super challenging, really burned uh, my shoulders. But one of the things to point out about doing these crawl exercises is that the entire time your core has to be tight, your shoulders are going to burn because you're crawling on the floor and you have to keep them activated in order to like keep crawling and maintain stability and just move on the floor, so like push the floor back. um, and then the single arm lat pull down is going to activate or hit the back, and then the push back is going to target the calves, the hamstrings, the glutes, the quads, and then supersetting that with deficit suitcase deadlifts with a 120-pound dumbbell from the previous exercise. Really hits the sides really well. The deficit really challenges your mobility. It's a really good exercise, both to build strength and mobility in your body. Um, Doing unilateral movements and getting heavy unilaterally has a huge payover into like your traditional powerlifting exercises. For the third exercise, I decided to move away from supersets and from ground movements. Uh, this is actually the third circuit, not the third exercise. So this is like the third. So after the second circuit, I decided to just do some heavy, difficult sled. So the exercise that I chose was one arm farmer carry and the other arm reverse sled. Um, Holding the heavy dumbbell and walking backwards at the same time with the sled requires a lot of stability and compensation, and yeah, I think it's just a really difficult movement that needs to, well, not needs to be done, but gives you really good gains when done uh, fairly often. So the other exercises were super heavy and super taxing on the body. And usually when I do something like that, I like to end off with something light or something that's more mobility focused. So after I was done with the sled, I decided to do cable good mornings to kind of loosen myself out. With cable good mornings, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on keeping my feet out as far as possible with my toes pointed out. I'm also slowly descending down and then coming up as soon as I feel some discomfort. Well, not necessarily discomfort, a deep stretch. And what that deep stretch position is going to vary from person to person. For me, initially it was, or in the on the first rep, it was just a little bit. The second rep was a lot more, and now, like as you'll see, as the reps go on, I'll sink much deeper into the stretch. This is the experience that most people are gonna have with this movement. I think it's really great for opening up uh, the posterior chain. So after this, I do some posing and I kind of talk through the workout a little. The audio comes back there, um, so I'm just going to let that play out. But yeah, that was it for today's workout. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. New videos every day at 8 a.m. Um, yeah, let's go into the posing.
Some post sauna, post workout posing. Spent about 30 minutes in the sauna. Drank a lot of water too, so I think like my muscles are relaxed. But I also have like some extra water in my stomach. But whatever it is, still don't look too shabby. Anyway, to review today's workout, using a bunch of, like for example, the first pull through movement, it's a shoulder movement, but I'm using like legs and crawling and all of that stuff. So it becomes a full body movement that ends up having a much more anabolic or growth hormone response than if you were just to do upright rows. At least in my personal experience, what I've noticed is by targeting muscles using compound movements, it's it's given me a lot more gains. So anyway, I'm gonna keep doing that, and yeah, I would recommend you guys try it too. But if it's not your cup of tea and you don't like it, then it is what it is. Everyone has their own recipe to fitness. It doesn't have to be the same. There are certainly things that I recommend over other things, but that's because it works for me and it and serves the goals that I'm looking for. But yeah, that's all for today's video. See you all tomorrow.